Hello guys, and welcome back to the How to Animate YouTube channel, and it's going to be the third and final part of this series on how to animate horses. As you can see, I've done a bit of work off camera, about 3 hours I think, just sort of polishing this up a little bit. I just want to give you some general tips that I've sort of come up with in animating this guy. Obviously I don't get to animate horses that often, and I just want to share with you some general sort of discoveries that I've had when animating this guy. So first thing is, animating horses are really hard. So I think with these they're probably one of the tougher creatures to animate, just because they're so intricate. There's so much going on. A lot of it sort of comes from the root of the hips here, which is back here, so you have to sort of counter animate a lot, and it's very easy just to go off model and all of a sudden it just doesn't look like a horse anymore. So there's sort of lots of moving parts, and one thing I'd say about animating horses, you just got to keep going with it. It's, you know, it might look a bit rubbish for a while, but you just got to keep plugging away at the animation, and eventually you will come up with something that looks okay. So first tip would be, yep, they're hard, but it's definitely possible to do a nice horse animation, but you need to really put the time and the work into it. Okay, the second thing I'd like to discuss with you guys is the legs and sort of how they work. Noticed it from the references, the legs tend to lock out a lot when they're on the floor. So you see here they're kind of locked out. You don't generally see them when they rotate down. You don't generally see them bend their knees like this unless they're about to fall over. Generally they're kind of in a very straight position. These front legs are very strong and able to lock into position and then pivot. The rear is then able to pivot around them. So as a general tip, if they're sort of doing this kind of move, as soon as they hit the floor, you want to make sure your legs are nice and straight. Obviously you are going to have to rotate into this. Okay, so at the point where they start to bend, then you want to counter animate using these controllers, and they kind of absorb a lot of the energy into their shoulder blades here. So when animating the front legs, it's always best to not rotate like this. Okay, you always want to make sure that you use the channel box to rotate back. If you do start rotating these, then you're going to end up in quite a mess. So it's always best to use what we got here. This is what these are for. There's lots of different ways you can shape the legs. And the last thing I'd like to discuss is the rear legs. Now, the rear legs on a horse are very powerful. Okay, and the horse doesn't really know what's happening with its rear legs. It can't see what's going on. So when a horse places its rear foot down, there's nothing stopping that foot. Like, each one of these should be able to break your toes if it's underneath. So they're very clumpy at the back. They don't care what's underneath them. That back foot is coming down very sharply. So you want to make sure that you sort of bring the foot up like this, and then it comes down within a couple of frames on linear. So they're very stompy, especially at the rear legs. Okay, I want to show you what I've done with the rider as well. So play this. So if you have got a rider, just try and pay attention to the up and downs mostly. Obviously as the horse comes up, the rider's also going to come up, and there's going to be a slight delay between the horse's down position and his, and you want to make sure that you kind of really sort of sell the weight here. So he's going to come down pretty quick, and yeah, just try and sell the weight. So I'm probably going to spend a couple more hours on this, just polishing mostly the end here. He kind of comes to an abrupt end here. I want to add a bit more motion just to the end here and render it out, and this is done. So I hope you guys have a go at animating horses. They're lots of fun but very challenging, and yeah, I hope you guys got something out of this watching me animate this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.